Welcome to another episode of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and I have with me today Coach James Lewis. Coach, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going? I'm James Lewis, the IBP and health instructor at Jim Hill High School, and also the head boys basketball coach at the school as well.
All right, Coach, man. I just want to welcome you today. I know we recorded previously, man, but due to that being my first recording, we had some technical difficulties. But I appreciate you sitting down with me again and giving me another opportunity to work with you.
Oh, no problem.
All right. So, Coach, I got a couple questions for you, man. What got you into coaching?
Man, I went to school for business, and my mindset was I wanted to kind of do something in the private sector, and I actually did accounting for about a year and a half. Prepared taxes. I'm a certified tax preparer, and thought that was the path I wanted to take. But after I left Grambling, where I got my undergrad, and I actually went back to grad school at Mississippi State. Got my master's in sports administration. Came back, really couldn't find a lot of jobs in the field, and I was a substitute teacher for the area that I live in. I got my first job offer at a financial company where we did taxes and gave out loans, and just I always had a desire to teach and coach and work with kids, and I actually got a break. I actually work, when people say everybody has a story,
right?
I truly have a story. I started as a teacher assistant. I wasn't certified. I assisted a teacher in English.
Okay.
And so I did like teacher assistant duties, and I was like, man, if I'm gonna do this, I might as well go back and get my credentials and man my own classroom. So that's what I did. Went back and got certified, and just kind of worked my way up the ladder, man. And so it just kind of brought me from the middle school ranks as an assistant coach, middle school ranks as a head coach, freshman head coach, and then became an interim varsity head coach when my varsity coach got sick and was on medical leave. And then it landed me to the Jim Hill job, which is where I currently reside.
Okay, all right. And about how many years you in, Coach?
This is going to my 8th year now.
Okay, all right, good deal. All right. So where we work at, Coach, our principal, when he introduced himself to us this year, he showed us a video by Michael B, I believe is the guy's name, and he said, when you know your why, what you do becomes more impactful. So, Coach, I want to know, why do you coach?
Well, first of all, it's a burning desire of competitiveness. I think at a young age, I didn't want to lose in anything. I mean, whether it was competing against my older brothers or playing video games, I just had that desire to where losing was more painful than winning. And so it's just that burning desire to want to win. And then as you get into it, and you start to build relationships with not only the kids but the parents and fellow faculty and staff members, you start to understand that, man, when these kids do leave school and they do come back, the impact you make on them is, man, way greater than the wins and losses. And so, now I'm into for a vast variety of reasons, man. Helping kids out, getting them out of the inner city, letting them know that they do have worth and they can do more than they possibly even dreamed about. Showing them different sides of the world and different states, because a lot of my kids, we took them to a camp last year.
Right.
They went into the state of Louisiana and went to the camp at Southeastern Louisiana University. And just seeing the look on their faces when they see a Division I arena, or they see a city that is just, a really big city. So things of that nature. That's why I do it, to kind of expose our kids to differences that they may never see in any other different capacity. And also, man, to have that burning desire, as all coaches do, to win on a high level and hopefully bring a state championship, another state championship back to Jim Hill High School.
Okay, I understand that, Coach. Being one of your co-workers, man, and colleagues, I definitely understand, wanting to be the best that we had to offer here at Jim Hill and continue that winning tradition or restoring the legacy and whatnot. So let's talk about that early success, Coach. A lot of people don't realize, but I know that you had, was it 4 or 3 successful years in the 9th grade at Warren Central, and then before that you had a successful 8th grade years also?
Yeah, I got my start in coaching as an assistant coach at Warren Central Junior High School. I did that for a year. Man, I actually caught a lucky break, fortunate break, where the middle school head coach, his wife actually worked for the government.
Okay.
And she received a promotion and so she actually had to move out of the state of Mississippi that upcoming year. And so basically, they came to me and told me they were gonna, offer me the job. And so I accepted it. And my first, I had a great group of kids, man. They listened, they were committed, they bought in. We had a really good successful year, 8th grade year. Lost in the semifinal game to make it to the championship. I'll never forget it. We lost about 4 points. We took the game tying 3 with like maybe 10 seconds left. We missed it. Had the foul. They made 1 of 2 free throws, and so they put them up by 4. And then we came down, and time just kind of ran out on us. But I remember that game because, man, I saw a bunch of kids crying, and one of the parents had to literally, carry her son to the car because he was just so distraught.
Right.
And I was really hurt because I felt like it was a really good group of kids that could really, push forward to a championship on any level. Mm-hmm. And so, man, I just really got a fortunate break in the summer. The 9th grade coach, which is the grades those kids were moving up to from me, he actually decided to leave and take another opportunity in another area, another field. Okay. So he got out of the field of education. And so I got the call from my varsity coach at the time, and true story, I was actually on vacation in Dallas, Texas, actually visiting my brother, and so we were in the car. Right. And so I received this phone call from the varsity head coach, and he said basically, hey, would you like to take over our 9th grade program, our very freshman team? And I was like, wow, I'd always wanted to kind of continue to move up the ladder. Right. And so he just told me, he said, don't make a decision then. He told me to take the rest of the weekend and maybe a few days that next week just to kind of think about it. And so I immediately had to call my middle school principal. I let him know what was going on. Mm-hmm. He gave me his blessing. He told me just make the best decision, which was right for me. And so I accepted the job. All right. And so I actually got 2 years to kind of be with that group of kids. Right. I think that's really when my coaching career kind of started to kind of propel in a positive direction. Long story short, we won the first Little Six championship in Warren Central history. I think, not in history, but in the first the last 25 years or so. Wow. So it had been a huge gap. And then, man, the challenge about 9th grade is you get a new group of kids every year from 8th grade. Exactly. And you only get them for 1 year. Right. And so, man, not only was I successful with that group that I had moving from 8th grade to 9th grade along with me, but then the next 2 years I also won Little Six championships as well. So 15, 16, 16, 17, and 2017, 2018, we actually won 3 in a row. And it was a blessing, man. Actually, we still have the banners at the school, and anytime we do visit there or play there, it is good to see those trophies in the case and see those banners on the wall. But that was really what got me propelled in the right direction. And of course, I guess you could say when your name is kind of high and people kind of know about you, I started receiving some calls from ADs and some principals, and they were asking me was I interested in being a varsity head coach, which I was, because my last year in 9th grade, our varsity head coach actually had to have surgery. Right. So he went out on medical leave, and so they appointed me as the interim head coach for the first 9 games of the season. We went 7-2, and it really just gave me that itch to want to have my own team, my own program, and also in that year, I think it was maybe 23-7 or 25-7, something like that. One of the best records in program history. Maybe to the second round of the state playoffs. Actually, was at one point ranked number 13th in the state of Mississippi. So, oh wow, it was a really good year, man, and it really helped me to, I guess, put my name out there. And I went on a couple of interviews and actually got the opportunity to take over the program in Jackson and Jim Hill, and we've been rolling ever since, man, and continue to try to build that resume and also build the program back up. All right.
Good deal, Coach. Well, I think that's a nice segue into asking you about your career goals and achievements you would like to see.
Well, I think when I first had my first parent meeting at Jim Hill, mm-hmm. in the summer of 2018, I told the parents my first and foremost objective is to have every senior under my board graduate. Right. And that was a goal that I told my previous on-campus athletic director at the time. It was part of my plan to so-called, I guess, restore the legacy of the program. But I'm fulfilling that end of it. Every senior that has passed through Jim Hill under my leadership has been on track to graduate and has graduated. And this year is no different. Well, we had 3 this year. We had 8 last year. So we're batting 11 for 11 with senior graduations, and that's one thing I take pride in. Another thing is, we want to continue to send kids to college, whether it's through basketball scholarships or anything else. We've had 2 kids to receive basketball opportunities after the high school level. Mm-hmm. And then we also want to continue to win games and put a good product on the floor. but also be role models in the community. We do community service projects every single year. If people are on Facebook, they can definitely see on the JPS website. They actually have us clean up our community and our highway.
Right, so right. With the governor also.
Correct.
But actually, y'all did that before.
We did actually.
Okay.
We do community service before every year before the season kicks off, and so actually we did it before the governor came, and we also assisted along with the other student athletes at the school with the governor as well. So we definitely believe in giving back, and I believe if you don't take care of your own community, no one else will. So we definitely want to be that example that be that example that people can see, and so we wear our jerseys, we clean up trash on Highway 80, and we want people to know about it because I think it's about these kids. And I want them to know that the kids in Jackson, they're doing some positive stuff. People see things on the news about all the negativity, but we are doing positive things to this community and for the JPS school district.
Okay, all right, Coach. Let me ask you this. Moving on to a different topic, man. Nowadays, you see on YouTube all these kids with different highlight tapes, mixtapes, whatever they call them nowadays. And a lot of it is AAU ball. How do you feel about AAU ball versus high school ball?
Well, I think it's all dependent upon the coaching, the system that you have for the AAU ranks. Now, it's kind of I've seen both sides of it. I have seen where some AAU teams just kind of it's really not a lot of structure. And AAU is you kind of get some of the best kids in the area and you kind of jam them on one team. So I would say it's probably hard for some of these coaches to kind of deal with it because all these kids kind of want to get their shine.
Right.
But at the same time, I see sometimes those programs is kind of it's really positionless. You have a lot of kids that's kind of doing a lot of things that they probably wouldn't normally do on the varsity level.
Right.
So I think that kind of inhibits some growth and maturity on the basketball standpoint. But I also see some good AAU programs. Some coaches actually running a real good program where they have individual workouts, they have shooting drills, they have they go to competitive camps where they actually have positions to where they teach kids roles and responsibilities. And I think that makes varsity coaches' jobs a little bit easier when we get those kids back. So I say give and take. You see the good and the bad. I have no problem with the kid playing basketball year round, which is basically what it's turning into now anyway.
Right.
Because I think the more you have a basketball in your hand, the better you can be. It strengthens your work ethic. It lets you know that you have a lot of work to do sometimes when you see these really good players out there. So it puts the fire into some kids to continue to work and get better. So I don't have a problem with kids playing year round and in the summer with AAU. I just think it's just you got to be firm with the structure and then the discipline of it, and let these kids know that basketball is a role type sport to where kids have to buy into certain roles and do certain things to help their teams win. And it's not always about the individual player; it's about the ultimate goal of being a successful team.
Okay, all right, Coach. Well, you do coach boys, right?
Correct.
All right. So let me ask you this, Coach: have you ever had any experience coaching females?
I have not, man. I actually I have not personally had the opportunity to coach girls. I think it's a slight difference with coaching boys and girls, but I just always had the desire to coach boys.
Okay.
And I just never, really. I've actually throughout my career, I've been offered a position to coach girls,
right?
But I turned it down because I just feel like my niche is coaching boys.
Okay. All right. Well, I coach both, and it seems just to me, in my personal opinion, that the females are a little easier to coach because they're more willing to learn. I don't know, or I don't know if that's what the phrase I want to say, but it seems like they just really they take to coaching a little more easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. All right. Well, what advice, Coach? Moving on to a different topic, what advice would you give to a younger guy that's trying to get into coaching?
Well, I would first say, man, as a coach, I think you determine a lot of your own success based off your style and your system. But from what I've learned through going to coaching camps and clinics is you really don't allow teams to reach your full potential until you really develop a system which is conducive to your kids and your talent level. So I would tell coaches that's interested in getting in, man, don't be afraid to adapt. Don't be afraid to change your thought process on some things because when I first got into coaching, I was kind of tunnel vision with the things that I wanted to do.
Right.
But the older you get and the more mature you get in the sport and the profession, you see that you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to adapt. I mean, and even just a I want to compare this to not comparing to Nick Saban, but even he had to adjust. He was more of a ground and pound type football coach from LSU to Michigan State, and now being at Alabama, his first couple of years he could do it. But now you see how college football has evolved to more of a spread type system, 4 or 5 wide receivers, a quarterback in the shotgun. And Nick Saban has adjusted, and it's been successful for him with that adjustment. So I think with coaching, you have to do the same exact thing. With technology now, it's a lot of different things than what it used to be back in the UCLA John Wooden days. So you have to change. You have to be willing to change. I think another thing is you have to be willing to build relationships and network. Okay. This profession is big on networking and who do you know, man, and getting to know kids and parents and families and also other coaches and other coaching staff. So you have to be willing to reach out and get outside the comfort zone and break down those barriers of communication and get to know people and network, So just some of the early tidbits I would give coaches to get in the profession. And also don't be willing to move or leave your current situation. I spent maybe 6-7 years in the Vicksburg 1 school district. Right. And one of the toughest decisions in my early career was to leave because the senior class that was about to be seniors in that upcoming year was the first group that I won a championship with in the 9th grade. Right. So having to leave those guys in their 9th grade year was very tough, but I knew varsity head coaching jobs don't just come around and you don't get that offer every year, man. So you have to leave when you get an opportunity, and I was willing to leave. So just those things and not being afraid to leave or get outside your comfort zone could really help you take those steps to becoming successful in professional coaching.
All right, so you, if I want to jot all 3 of those down, you said willingness to adapt. Yep. Ability to network.
To network.
Okay, and then lastly, not afraid to leave.
Before that, I want to say conforming your program to the talent level of your players and what they do best. Okay. Yeah, and then the last one was not being afraid to take risks and be mobile.
Gotcha. All right, good deal, Coach. I like that. Moving on. Next question, Coach. We all know I don't really want to date this episode, but I kind of have to, given what's going on in the world today with the coronavirus and COVID-19. Talk to me, man. As you know, my season basically is, as far as I know right now, my season is over as far as track and field. But your season had basically just ended. Correct. Late February, transitioning into early March. But you were doing some behind the scenes work, getting stuff ready for the new tryouts and just basically getting your schedule ready and tournaments for summer ball. Go ahead and talk to me about what's going on with that current situation and maybe the difficulty of it.
Yeah, it was. I hate to use the word depressing, man, but it was pretty tough for me, man, because I'm real big on summer and summer programs and summer activities, and so. A lot of people don't know, but in our school situation, it's not a lot of money floating around, and so if we want to do something, we normally have to raise our own money. Right. And so we were actually planning. Once we got back from spring break, we were planning our big, and we do it every year to raise money for our summer activities and summer travel. We were doing a faculty versus student basketball game. Right. And so of course that had to be canceled because of course school has been canceled for the last couple of weeks, and then we're also going to do basketball trials after that. Gotcha. And then of course. When we got back from spring break, we normally start our off-season weightlifting and conditioning program. Okay. So a lot of those things had to kind of take a step back. And now, as I think about moving forward into the summer, if we will in fact even have a summer program, we were actually going to take our coaching staff. I was going to take them to the coaching conference in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. And then we're also going to take our team to a team camp in Florida State University. Wow. And it's just kind of tough because I think all those things will probably be canceled. And so we're just going to kind of have to look into doing some things in the next off season. But yeah, it's just kind of tough, man, because I go in with a plan to kind of do certain things every off season, and we just have to make a lot of major adjustments for this year because we can't raise the money to travel. Right. So we have to kind of, I guess, see what the state of Mississippi does, MDE says about school and what we can and can't do. And then first and foremost, man, we have to pick a team for next year. I mean, of course, we have an idea of the guys coming back, but we also build from middle school level too, and so we like to get young guys in, and we're just all kind of unsure of how we're going to have trials and when we're going to have trials, when we'll be allowed to have trials. So it's just kind of a wait and see type deal now, but it is an uneven type situation because I'm real big on structure and organization. Exactly. And I had a lot of my calendar filled out with dates and stuff, and we had trials set, and so now, man, we're just all kind of waiting to hear from our superintendent, the Mississippi Department of Education, and what's going to be our next steps moving forward.
Okay. Have you been able to reach out to any of your basketball players, Coach? And if so, how have you been able to keep their spirits up and basically keep them engaged?
Yeah, what we do is we actually have a Remind app, which is our leading communication technology device for communicating with the kids throughout the season as far as upcoming dates and things of that nature. So we also do that, as well as we have our workouts on our Google Classroom setting, so kids can log in and see what workouts they need to do each and every day of the week, and kind of keep their skills up to date. We do, because a lot of kids may not have access to weights and things of that nature, so we do a lot of body resistance type stuff, plyometrics, running and staying in shape. So hopefully, whenever we can get back to school, it'll be back to normal. But until then, we just have to kind of make some adjustments, and that's kind of how we try to keep them in shape as best as we can. Because a lot of them don't have access to gyms.
Right.
So a lot of the workouts that we want them to do and we normally do, they may not be able to. So we try to make an adjustment.
Well, not only that, Coach, but a lot of the gyms are closed also. So I mean,
correct. Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And a lot of my guys don't have goats to the house. So
yeah,
it's just kind of tough, man. But we're all in the same predicament, so there's no excuses. So when we do get a chance to come back, we'll all be starting from ground zero.
Man, that's very true, man. If they give us a chance, man, to make up anything with track or golf, I don't want to leave golf out there, but they give us any chance to make up anything, man. Give me 2 weeks, and I guarantee I can get a team together, man, and we can win that district championship. I'm sure about that.
Right. And even in my mind, I'm still thinking if they do allow us to come back to school on April 20th,
right?
I mean, I would definitely hit the ground running with this faculty versus student game. We're gonna try to raise this money, and we'll still try to figure out a way to get to these summer camps if they allow us to. So I'm just not big on excuses or hearing reasons why we can't do something. We're gonna try to figure out a way to make it work.
Okay.
If we're allowed to.
All right, Coach. Right before we wrap it up, man, I want to go into your college career, man. Did you or your athletic career? Did you in high school? Did you play any sports?
Yeah, I did on the high school level, not on the college level, but
okay.
I was pretty active in high school.
Okay, what you do in high school, Coach?
Man, in high school I actually played football, man. So I was really big in football. I was a football wide receiver.
Okay.
And then, man, actually we won our district championship my senior year in football, man. And ran against some pretty tough competition in the playoffs. Actually, I think we got defeated by Horn Lake at the time. Okay. We actually had a running back to go pro, so they were pretty solid. They were pretty good.
Coach, man, a lot of people don't realize, man, winning a district championship, no matter the sport in Mississippi, is pretty tough to do. It is pretty tough to do. So to say you won district in football, that's a big accomplishment. That is a very big accomplishment.
At a pretty tough district too, man.
Right,
so we were pretty proud of that, and it's good when I come back home and I go to the field house. They still had that picture hanging up, man. With us in our Letterman jackets, the seniors. So it's just good to make those type of memories, man, when you're young, because hopefully they never disappear and people can see them for years to come.
Okay. All right, Coach. So if you don't mind, man, where did you go to college at?
My undergrad was at Grambling State University, and I received my master's at Mississippi State.
Okay. All right. Well, at Grambling, were you in any activities, or were you on scholarship or anything?
Yeah, I actually was on a band scholarship, and I was involved in the student union board. I was on the student union board, and also on SGA. I was the Student Government Association treasurer, man. So I stayed busy with the band and SGA and fraternities. Every day I was doing something, so I stayed busy.
Okay, and what fraternity are you in, Coach?
Kappa Psi, National Honorary Band Fraternity Incorporated, and Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
All right, congratulations, good deal on that. And in the band, what instrument did you play, and what role did you have?
Man, I was my first 3 years, I was actually a snare drummer.
Okay.
My freshman year I was on tenor drum. Then my sophomore and junior year, I played snare drum, and then I was elected as the head drum major my senior year.
Okay. All right. At a HBCU.
Correct. Right. So it was a lot of work, man. Basically you're responsible for leading over 200 some kids, organizing the practices, organizing the dance routines and the field shows. So it was a pretty tough gig. But I mean, when you say leadership, it really taught you how to lead people and lead kids. And I mean, it was, to me, one of my greatest memories of my life, man. Just traveling the world. I took my first plane ride as a part of the band. We flew to Seattle to play Washington State. So
okay,
it was a great deal, man. I mean, something I look back at and I say I wish I could kind of turn back time and do it again, but absolutely great time at college, man. I mean, I had a ball of fun at Grambling.
All right, man. Since you mentioned you as a drum major, is you know how with football they say the quarterback is like the coach on the field, or the middle linebacker is like the coach on the field, and in basketball they'll say it's the point guard.
Right.
Is it the same thing with as a drum major? Do you have to have a good relationship with the band director?
Oh, absolutely. You're their right hand man. You're the extension of the band through the head band director. So basically, you know, whatever he wants to get done, like we always had a meeting before band practice. So he'll basically say, hey, when we dismiss, once he comes down and does his little pre-practice talk,
right,
he'll say, this is what I want to do. And so basically, as a drum major, you're responsible for getting all the guys out we call them on the dots, which is basically some dots on the street.
Right.
It's right in front of the band hall. So basically, you have to march to the practice field, which is, almost a mile away.
Wow.
And so just to do that, it was great, man. I mean, you know, basically getting the band from point A to point B. You know, organizing water breaks and organizing how to go over the drill and what they need to get to from point A to point B. So it's a lot of work that people don't see. You know, of course, they see that finished product on that Saturday evening when you're out there having a great time either in the stands or on the field. But
right,
man, you talk about, it was some back-breaking work, man. I mean, more mental than physical, but also physical as well because, just basically march for over a mile and a half a day, almost 2 miles a day.
I was about to say, Coach, you had to march there and march back, right?
Yeah. So you had to be in some pretty good shape, man.
Yeah.
So I remember, before going back to school, I just kind of started running, getting myself in shape and get my mind ready. So it was a great time, but it was. I would say one of the most ultimate leadership positions I've ever had in my life was being a head drum major. Because as the head drum major, you're not only over the band, but you're over band leadership positions. You're over drill sergeants. You're over master drill sergeants, and then you're also over your other two or how many other drum majors you may have. So, you know, you're the highest student in the band, and then go to the assistant band director and the head band director.
Exactly.
So, like you said, I compare it to like a quarterback in football. A pitcher in baseball or a point guard in basketball. I mean, you call the shots,
right.
And whether it's good or bad, all that pressure is on you, man. But it was something fun. I mean, you talk about, having to deal with the pressure of it, and the good part about doing interviews and traveling the world. So it was a lot. I think the only thing I didn't like was, man, the fact that I couldn't communicate with my family, with my friends, my mom. You know, it was because I didn't have a chance to come home a lot. So it was a lot of work. Right. A lot of work.
Man, that's awesome, Coach. Would you say that experience helped you become the good coach, or great coach, I should say, and great leader that you are today?
Well, I think it definitely helped. Because people say, well, you can't really mold a leader. Mm-hmm. Well, I was kind of always a kind of laid back, soft spoken type person, man. But
right.
When you're in the role of a drum major, you don't have time to kind of sit back and be laid back because there's things you have to do. It's tough decisions you have to make, and sometimes you have to kind of disagree with some of the other decisions that may be made,
right.
And tell them why you disagree and why that's not for the betterment of the band. So I think it formed my leadership style, which I have today, and I think it hopefully will carry me on for the rest of my life as far as the leader. And that's why I try to instill leadership qualities in my basketball player, because I think anybody can lead.
Right, right.
You just have to be trained to do it. And then once you get into that role, then you come up with your own type leadership style based off the skills that you already have.
There we go. All right, Coach. Let's get a little bit into basketball before we call this episode, man. Give me a couple of your favorite players and your favorite teams. College level for teams, and then for pros, give me your favorite players and favorite teams.
Yeah, well definitely. I've always been a Kentucky fan from the days of Tubby Smith. To now, I definitely like Kentucky, but I also like Florida State.
Okay.
I definitely like what Leonard Hamilton has done with his programs. Man, he recruits 6'7", 6'8" type kids. They play defense. They always lead the NCAA in defensive efficiency.
Right.
I'm definitely a defensive-minded coach, so I really like what he's doing. So I like those two in college. For the pros, I definitely like my Lakers, but I also like Golden State too. I like how I just think Golden State came in and changed the way basketball was played, and I really like that different style of play, that different era. Mm-hmm. But you see now that they're kind of hurt. It was kind of difficult on them this year, but I've always been a Laker fan, a diehard Laker fan from the Kobe Shaq days. So
same.
So I love my purple and gold, man, for the Lakers.
All right, Coach, man, you know what? I'm gonna have to have you on for another episode so we can really dive deep into basketball, man. talk about efficiency and whatnot, PER, and just the overall analytics. Because I personally believe, no offense to Draymond Green, but I really think he's slightly overrated. Well, and I think this year he's becoming more properly rated than the praise he was receiving over the last few years. Because he had a run in with Paul Pierce a couple years ago, and then after that, more recently, he had a run in with Charles Barkley. And I'm like, well, I mean, I understand as a player and competitor, you're gonna compare yourself to them. But me as a fan, I'm gonna compare it and be like, all right, well, Draymond, you're not Charles Barkley, so we're not gonna even compare that. But two, I had an argument with my buddies. I said, man, I don't know if I would rather have the career Paul Pierce had or the career Draymond Green had. And they looked at me like, are you crazy? I said, come on, guys, let's be honest here. Who's the better player? Paul Pierce is clearly the better player.
Yeah.
And he won a championship. So, I mean, what's your opinion on that real quick?
I think with the players around Draymond Green, they did make him look really, really good during those maybe 3 to 5 year stretches.
Right.
It made him look really good. And he's a solid defender. I mean, one of the most intense defensive players that's in the NBA.
Right. Or basically ever, to be honest, if we just go be honest.
But I think when Steph got hurt and Clay got hurt.
And KD left.
It put him in more of a role to where he had to kind of carry the team, not only defensively, but he also had to probably score more points. And that's just really not his game. I mean, that really wasn't his game in Michigan State, although he was a solid player at Michigan State. I mean, I just feel like he fits a role, and with those other star players around him, it makes his role more easier. Now that he has to do a little bit more, it's kind of tough on him, man. And you kind of saw how that he struggled this year because of it.
Right.
Now, if I was forming a team, would he be one of those guys? Absolutely, because I love his intensity, I love his grit. So he'll be one of the guys that I would definitely take along for the ride. But as far as the score, that's just really not his game.
Exactly. All right, Coach. Man, I appreciate you being on here with me today, Coach. Go ahead and do your goodbyes.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for having me, man. Anytime you can talk about basketball and the professional, I mean, I enjoy it. So I enjoyed it.
All right. And this has been K-Pad Fit with another episode of For the Health of It. Thank you for listening.